Hello, this is William Torgerson. I'm doing a tutorial to try to help students do some revision to their signal phrases in an MLA research paper. So coming up for the week of the 25th, students are to watch Professor Torgerson's video Becoming More Sophisticated with MLA quotes. I hate to call it a trick, but even for me, I did an MA in English education and an MFA in creative writing, where I had to write quite a bit of literary criticism, and I often made choices in grad school and undergraduate school to where I wasn't doing that kind of work. I was doing education or creative writing or fiction, poetry workshops. And so in actually doing the MA and the MFA, I had professors commenting on my lack of sophistication when it comes to setting up quotes. So I've got a contradiction, and here I have my parenthetical citation, parentheses with the page number 102, not giving Berlin's name because I've mentioned it right here in the signal phrase. As I listen to students talk about their work, I often find myself asking, what about this or this? Have you heard this? And so that's me trying to take on the role of problem poser that Berlin suggests. And then this is the citation for that quote I'm using. So if I go just to Google and I type in MLA, lots of things come up, but through some browsing around, I found this handout, St. Joseph's College from Connecticut. I don't know a lot about that school, but they have a list, and if I went out into the Writing Center here at St. John's University, there would be all kinds of books with lists essentially like this. And so coming back up to my quote, according to James Berlin's book and then common quote, I don't have a verb. And so one thing that you can do in a signal phrase is to make James Berlin do something by choosing a verb. And so a common verb is said or writes. Those are two things. And there's writes. I don't know if said is on here or not, which is almost, really not appropriate. It's probably one of the more common ones, but also probably not appropriate because James Berlin isn't really speaking when I read his book. So something you can do with your paper is to go through all the places where you've included quotes or paraphrases and look to mix up these words, especially ones that are appropriate. I'm going to go with argues here, and so let me play with that for a second. And I've already, in this point in my paper, I've already mentioned James Berlin before, so I've already established that he wrote this book, and I've got this big long title of his book which kind of bogs down the reading of my paper. And so I want to make that as smooth flowing to my reader as possible. So when conferencing with my student Melvin, a self-described sneakerhead, I notice a potential gap between how he sees himself and socially conscious, and that he possesses a large name brand sneaker collection. It's this moment that Berlin has in mind when he argues that the moment of denial that the role of the teacher, so, not super sophisticated, but I think you get the idea. The more that you read scholarly work and start to pay attention to the different ways that writers get into quotes, the more that you go through your work and look for little ways to use some verbs like argues or some of the other verbs on this sheet, or you'll become skilled at handling quotes and paraphrase from sources. I'm going to, on my website, the teaching website, along next to the link to this tutorial, I'll also place a link to St. Joseph College's handout on the different verbs you might use to set up quotes in your paper. Alright, drop me a line on Facebook or at my email, which will follow this video if you've got comments or questions. Thank you.